Hey there, welcome once again to the political science session. This is the second part. In the earlier part, we were discussing about election and representation, and we tried to understand what is the first past the post system as well as what is the proportional representation system. Let us continue the discussion furthermore and try to understand the concept of reservation of constituencies. See children, as I told you that in the first past the post system, various communities, various candidates of different belief systems, they contest the elections, but there is a very fair chance of missing out the small groups or the members of the communities of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Now one important question. What is the meaning of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes? You have already read in class 9th that the castes which got their mention in the schedules of the Indian constitutions, they are known as scheduled caste. And the tribes which were left out and ignored during the British regime, they also got their mention in the schedule of the Indian constitution, and that is why they are known as scheduled tribes. There is nothing to do with their standard, or this has nothing to do with their social background. So the reason why they are called scheduled is because of their mention coming in the schedule of the Indian constitution. So when we were talking about the positives of the first past the post system, one big negative was that small communities or small sections of societies may be left out in this system. To check the involvement of all the communities, all the social groups, whether they were small or big, the reservation of constituencies was being practiced when the Britishers were also there. So they had created reserved areas and reserved electorates for such communities which were in minority numbers. But nowadays this responsibility is being handed over to the Delimitation Commission of India. This commission keeps a check of SC/ST population, which is almost quite fairly distributed in our country. So out of 543 constituencies in the Lok Sabha, the Constitution of India has mentioned, according to the amendment made in 2012, that there would be 84 seats for SC communities and 47 seats meant for ST community people. So the task of the Delimitation Commission is to find out the population of the SC people in a particular constituency and the ST people in the particular constituency, and to look out that during the conduction of elections they also get a fair chance of representation. Now let us discuss the next point: free and fair elections. For any democracy, it is very important to hold free and fair elections. Then only the people and the citizens will feel confident about their system and their governance. So, what did India do? The leaders of Free India, they took up the concept of universal adult franchise in India, for which if you go through history, you can find that in France and in other countries like Africa and Fiji till date, there are lots of issues related to universal adult franchise, but we were fortunate enough and we got this system where earlier till 1989 the eligible age for voting was 21 years according to our constitution, and after an amendment it was reduced to the age of 18 years after 1989. Along with it, the government of India or the constitution of India had blessed us with the right to contest elections. That means a has acquired 25 years of age can contest elections for the Lok Sabha, and a person who has acquired the age of 35 years, he can contest elections for the Rajya Sabha or for the President's office. Now, to ensure that such a big country with various belief systems, such a big and enormous population could have free and fair elections, there is a provision mentioned of Independent Election Commission under Article 324 Clause 1 of our Constitution, which states the superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of the electoral rolls for and the conduct of all elections to Parliament and to the legislature of every state and of elections to the offices of President and Vice President held under this Constitution shall be vested in a commission that is referred to in this Constitution as the Election Commission of India. So, from there we have an independent body or an autonomous body. Autonomous means which is not under the control of any of the organs of the government, either that is legislature, either that is executive, or either that is judiciary. So, earlier in India, till 1989, we had a system of single-membered body. The Election Commission had one head only. But just before the conduction of elections of 1989, this election commission was made to a multi-membered where there were 2 election commissioners. And just after the conduction of elections of 1989, again it was turned into single leadership under the Election Commission of India. But again, in 1993, it was felt that if the Election Commission of India is a multi-membered body, then it would be good because it would make the Election Commission more accountable, more responsible if it had a system of 2 election commissioners there once again. So this practice till date is being continued. We are having a multi-membered election commission in India. Presently, we have one chief election commissioner, that is known as CEC, and then we have 2 election commissioners. So their appointments are being made by the president on the advice of Council of Ministers, and their tenure is limited for a span of 6 years or till they acquire the age of 65 years. So whatsoever is earlier, till that span of time, they can hold the office of election commissioner. Now, their removal is also only possible if the president, under the advice of both the houses, or if both the houses make a recommendation by special majority to the President of India, then only the Chief Election Commissioner or the Chief Election Commission can be dissolved. No ruling party can influence this office, neither in their appointment, neither in their removal, neither during their working span. So, executive has no control, either that is permanent executive, either that is political executive. Now, let us understand what is the function, basic function of the Election Commission of India. It has a very great responsibility of conducting free and fair elections in the country. But how? By preparing an error-free voter list. You all would have observed in your families, when your parents go to cast their vote, then they have a small chit, and where their names are being mentioned, they hold election ID cards. If the ID card is not there and their names are not there in the voter list, what will happen? They won't be able to cast their vote. So, preparing this voters list, to make amends, that means to add new names and to remove old names, is the responsibility of the Election Commission. Then election schedule, that means the dates for filing nomination, for the scrutiny of these nominations, for the withdrawal of names, the dates of polling, counting and declaration of results. Everything is counted under the schedule. So all these dates are to be declared by the election commission in such a manner that they do not clash with each other in various states and in various constituencies. So, if there is any problem during the polling, counting and declaration of results, the Chief Election Commission or commissioners, they can postpone or cancel the elections. They can order for re-polling or recounting of votes. Moreover, the Election Commission has the responsibility to implement a model code of conduct. What is model code of conduct? A set of rules and regulations to be followed by the political parties as well as the candidates who are contesting elections. Along with it, it accords recognition to political parties. Means if a political party is not registered under the Election Commission, it cannot contest any elections in India. So there are regional parties as well as national parties in India. And the Election Commission also allots these political parties election symbols. So this election symbols plays an important role, especially for the illiterate majority of people who cannot read and write but definitely can understand through the symbols that which party they want to support. Moreover, the Election Commission restrains the expenditure made by the political parties in various constituencies and tries to check the unfair means or the money politics during the conduction of elections. Along with that, any unfair practices like distributing money or things or gifts, this is also being checked by the Election Commission of India. Thank you, this much only, and we'll continue in our next part. We will discuss the electoral reforms and the other effects of election systems in India.